Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive? This week, we're going exploring some really interesting AI developments and applications that you might not have heard about. I think we've got some pretty groundbreaking stuff to unpack. Let's dive right in.
Absolutely. We're going to be looking at things that could really shake things up, even if they haven't quite made it to the big headlines yet.
So let's start with the video RAG framework. This one really caught my attention. AI that can understand video. That's kind of next level stuff.
It really is. Think about it. So much of what we see online these days is video-based. Social media, entertainment, even things like security footage. Video RAG basically combines the power of text-based AI with the ability to really analyze and understand visual information from video. That opens up a whole world of possibilities, really.
Okay, so what kind of world of possibilities? Give me an example.
Okay, well, imagine AI that can analyze security footage to not just detect motion, but actually identify specific events, like, say, a package being left unattended. Or think about personalized education, where the AI is tailoring content based on your visual learning style. Video editing could become much easier, and even advertising could target you based on how you actually react to video content.
All right, that's pretty credible. It's like giving AI a whole new sense to work with. What's up next?
Let's move on to self-adaptive LLMs. The technical name is Transformer 2, and it's all about AI models that can learn on the fly.
You mean AI that can adapt to new tasks without someone having to reprogram it from scratch?
Precisely. Traditionally, retraining an LLM for a new task was a huge undertaking, both in terms of time and the computing power it required. This new framework basically allows LLMs to kind of adjust themselves for specific tasks, basically in real time. Imagine giving an LLM a crash course in legal language, for example, and it instantly becomes your legal expert assistant.
How does it do that, though? Don't you still need to change the actual code of the model?
That's where it gets really interesting. So instead of rewriting the whole model, Transformer 2 actually selectively adjusts these things called weight matrices. They basically control how different parts of the model interact. It's kind of like the model is putting on a different pair of glasses for each task instead of changing its entire brain.
Ah, so it's a lot more efficient than previous methods. And speaking of efficiency, I think our next item is all about big AI models. The Mini Max 01, right? Is bigger always better when it comes to AI?
Well, it's not just about size, it's about what you can actually do with it. The Minimax 011 model has a pretty impressive 32 experts and 456 billion parameters. Imagine it like having a whole team of specialized AI brains working together on a problem with each expert focusing on a specific part of it.
Okay, that's a pretty amazing team. But what does that mean in terms of like real-world applications?
Well, this kind of massive scale leads to what we call a longer context window, meaning the model can actually remember and process way more information at once. Imagine an AI assistant that can instantly recall every meeting you've ever had and then pull up relevant details just based on a single question.
Okay, that would definitely make my life easier. So we've got AI that understands video, AI that learns on the fly, and AI with a massive memory. What else is happening in the world of AI research?
Well, we're seeing a real global competition heating up. The US and China are, kind of vying for leadership in AI development, but other countries are catching up pretty quickly.
So it's not just a two-horse race anymore. Tell me more about this global AI landscape.
We're seeing countries like the UK, Canada, and France making big investments in AI research and development. And each country has its own strengths and strategies. For example, the UK really excels in machine learning research, while Canada is a real hotbed for AI startups.
Sounds like things are getting pretty interesting on the global stage. But with all this competition, is anyone trying to collaborate, to make sure AI actually benefits everybody?
Absolutely. There are organizations like the Partnership on AI that are bringing together researchers, industry leaders, and policymakers from all around the world to promote responsible AI development. It's about ensuring that AI is actually used for good and that its benefits are shared widely.
That's good to hear. Yeah. But enough about the global stuff for now. Let's bring it back down to earth a little bit. How's AI making waves in specific industries?
Well, healthcare and finance are two sectors going through huge transformations thanks to AI. Think personalized medicine, improved diagnostics, more efficient financial services, even AI-powered financial advisors.
Wait, AI giving financial advice? That seems kind of risky.
It's not about completely replacing human experts. It's more about having a really powerful tool that can analyze huge amounts of data and provide insights that humans might miss. It's like having a super-powered research assistant working with a financial expert.
Okay, that makes more sense. So we've covered a lot already. From from these crazy AI models to this whole global race for AI dominance and the impacts AI is having on like everyday things. So where do we go from here?
Well, it's important to remember that this is just a quick snapshot of what's happening in the AI world. This field is evolving so quickly, I think we can expect even more exciting developments in the very near future. It really is fascinating to think about how all these advancements could really, completely reshape the way we work.
It is. We've talked about AI automating tasks, but I'm really interested in its potential to, really empower people in the workplace. Is this all kind of doom and gloom for us humans? Or is there a silver lining here?
I really think it's more about collaboration than replacement. There's this whole buzz around this idea of superagency, which is basically about AI kind of boosting, enhancing human capabilities. Imagine having AI tools that can help us analyze huge amounts of data, which would free us up to focus on things like creative problem solving and strategic decision making.
So it's like having a super-powered research assistant working right alongside us, helping us do our jobs better and faster.
Exactly. Think of doctors using AI to diagnose diseases way more accurately, or architects using AI to design buildings that are more sustainable. AI can really augment our skills and allow us to achieve things that we just couldn't do on our own.
That sounds pretty amazing. But I can't help but think about all the people whose jobs might be, directly affected by AI. Are we really heading toward a future where robots take over everything?
It's a completely valid concern, and I think the key is to really focus on adaptation and upskilling. As AI becomes, more common, we need to really make sure that people have the skills to actually work alongside these technologies. And that means investing in education and training programs that focus on things like critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity, skills that are tough for AI to replicate.
So it's about preparing the workforce for the future, not just fearing the robots.
Exactly. And, AI is a tool at the end of the day. And like any tool, it can be used for good or, not so good things. It's up to us to guide its development and make sure that it's used responsibly and ethically.
Speaking of responsible development, I've heard a lot about these AI native startups lately. What are they exactly, and how are they shaking things up?
So an AI native startup is basically a company that's built from the ground up with AI at its core. They're not just using AI to make existing processes better, they're creating entirely new products and services that are only possible because of AI.
So they're not just dipping their toes in, they're diving right in. Can you give me some examples of these AI native startups and what they're up to?
Sure. In healthcare, we're seeing startups developing AI-powered tools that can diagnose diseases way earlier and much more accurately. In finance, there are startups creating personalized financial management tools that can help people make better investment decisions. And even in education, we're seeing these startups building AI-powered tutoring platforms that adapt to each student's learning style.
Wow. It really sounds like these startups are leading the way in AI innovation, really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
They really are, and they're attracting a lot of attention from investors. The whole AI startup scene is really booming right now, with billions of dollars being invested.
It's exciting to see so much energy going into AI. But you mentioned ethical considerations earlier. Are there any concerns about bias or unintended consequences, especially as AI gets more powerful?
Oh, it's absolutely crucial to be mindful of those concerns. Developers and researchers are working really hard to build AI systems that are fair, unbiased, and transparent. It's an ongoing challenge, but one that people are taking seriously.
That's good to hear. I think it's easy to get caught up in all the excitement and forget about the potential downsides.
It's a balancing act, for sure. We need to embrace what AI can do, but also, address these ethical concerns. And we need to be open and honest about these issues to make sure AI benefits everyone.
Well said. Now, before we wrap up, I wanted to go back to something we talked about earlier, the global AI competition. You mentioned that the US and China are leading the pack, but what about other countries? Are they just playing catch-up, or are there any other major players emerging?
That's a great question. While the US and China are definitely at the forefront, the global AI landscape is constantly changing. Countries like the UK, Canada, France, Germany, and Japan are all investing heavily in AI research and development. They're not just playing catch-up, they're developing their own strengths and strategies in the AI world.
So it's a diverse ecosystem with different players bringing their own unique strengths to the table.
Exactly. For example, the UK has a strong background in AI research, particularly in machine learning and natural language processing. Canada has a really thriving AI startup scene and is a leader in deep learning research. And Germany, which is a powerhouse in industrial automation, is using AI to really push its manufacturing capabilities forward.
It's fascinating to see how different countries are approaching AI.
Yeah.
What do you think are the potential benefits of this global competition?
Well, I think healthy competition can really drive innovation. When countries are striving to be leaders in a field as transformative as AI, it can lead to more investment, breakthroughs, and ultimately, benefits for everyone.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But are there any potential downsides to this competition? Could it lead to, like, a less collaborative environment? Maybe even an AI arms race?
Those are valid concerns. If the competition gets too intense, it could definitely hinder collaboration and the sharing of knowledge. And there's also the risk that ethical considerations could be, kind of pushed aside in the pursuit of technological dominance. It's crucial to strike a balance between competition and cooperation to ensure that AI development happens responsibly and benefits everyone.
It sounds like we have a lot to keep an eye on in the coming years.
Yeah.
Speaking of things to keep an eye on, we've talked about the potential benefits of AI, but what about the risks? What are some potential downsides or unintended consequences we need to be aware of?
That's an important question. AI has enormous potential, but we need to be aware of the risks. One major concern is the potential for job displacement. AI is becoming capable of automating many tasks that humans currently do.
That's a topic that comes up a lot when we talk about AI. How realistic is that threat? Widespread job losses because of AI.
Well, it's really hard to predict exactly what the impact will be because it's going to vary across different industries and jobs. But some tasks are definitely more susceptible to automation than others. Jobs that are very repetitive, rule-based, and don't really require a lot of human judgment are, more likely to be automated.
So should people be worried about losing their jobs to robots?
I think it's more about adapting than panicking, really. It's important for people to focus on developing skills that AI has a harder time replicating, things like creativity and critical thinking, complex problem solving, emotional intelligence, and really effective communication. Those skills are going to be super valuable in the future. Lifelong learning and the ability to adapt, those are going to be essential in the future job market.
So it's more about embracing AI as a tool to enhance what we can do rather than being afraid of it as a threat.
Exactly. AI is a powerful tool, and it has the potential to really change our world in a positive way. But we need to be smart about how we use it.
Yeah.
Make sure we're using it responsibly.
Well said. Now, before we move on to our last section, I did want to touch on another potential risk, the risk of misuse, or people using AI for bad things. We've seen examples of AI being used to create deepfakes, spread misinformation, even develop autonomous weapons systems. How concerned should we be about these threats?
These are real and very serious concerns that we need to address head-on. AI is becoming more and more powerful and easier to access, so it's super important to have safeguards in place to prevent its misuse. That means developing ethical guidelines for how AI is developed, making sure research is conducted responsibly, and even establishing international agreements to regulate things like autonomous weapons systems. Those are sensitive areas where we need to be really careful.
So it's not just about the tech itself, but also the ethical framework and the regulations that guide how it's used.
Exactly. The future of AI really depends on our ability to use it wisely and responsibly. We need to work together globally to make sure that AI benefits all of humanity, not just a few.
It really sounds like the future of AI, especially with the possibility of AGI, isn't set in stone. It's a future we're creating through the choices we make and how we engage with this technology.
Absolutely. It's not predetermined. We have a role to play here.
Well, I think this has been a really interesting conversation about both the opportunities and challenges that come with how fast AI is advancing. We've talked about how AI can empower people in the workplace, the ethical considerations, and the role that AI-native startups are playing. It's been an incredible deep dive.
It really has been. And I want to thank you, our listener, for joining us on this journey into the amazing and constantly changing world of AI.
That's right. As we wrap things up, I want to leave you with this thought. The future of AI is not something that's just happening to us. It's something that we're all creating together. So stay curious, keep learning, and let's work towards a future where AI is a force for good in the world. Until next time, keep exploring the exciting world of artificial intelligence.